The Bitcoin community kind of feels the same way. We want to build the future that we want to see. We're sick and tired of yelling at the system.
Yes.
With no change, just saying, screw it. We're going to build the future. And we're not perfect by any means, right? We've got a lot to learn. We're growing up. We're a small movement. But we have that same goal in mind. And so that's why I think the Bitcoin community has gravitated to you so quickly, because you just want the good ideas.
Right.
You don't give a shit how we got there.
Well,
let's just focus on the good ideas.
I get a lot of pushback from Bitcoin maxis. Let's not kid ourselves. I also call them religious fundamentalists because, well, you know.
Well, there's different degrees. I'm a Bitcoin. Yeah, I consider myself a Bitcoin maxi, but you know what I mean. It's like one of those things.
I get it. And again, like,
but at that core, right? At the core, the Bitcoin libertarian values of like, we just want freedom. Do whatever the fuck you want to do if we all have freedom.
Right.
And let's try and build a better world that's better that's pro humanity.
What's really interesting is that, you know, we get into these you know, I turned a corner on libertarian thought very, very early on in the process. Right. The first reaction is the adolescent, you know, fuck you, you can't do, I won't do what you tell me. There's that, right? And fine. And that's a good start. That's where you need to be. You need to be a little ungovernable, folks. You need to be a little disagreeable. You need to, whatever level of disagreeableness you have in your 5 pillars of personality, cultivate that. And if that means like, you know, lifting some weights and eating some meat in order to get your testosterone levels up, okay, do whatever you need to do. Whatever you need to do to get up for the game, you know, Powerade, the old Powerade ads, right? Fine. But at the end of the day, one of the things that I really took away from the Mises crowd, you know, is that anarchy is not chaos.
Right.
Anarchy actually is a very polite society, because the risks of crossing someone or reneging on a contract are so immense. In a system where there ain't no bailout coming, there ain't no big brother coming to give you a hand. You have to survive on your wits. While at a societal level, there are certainly problems with how you get from there to where you are to where you're going to go. How you reinforce good behavior over time is very difficult. Right. And this is not something, as I'd like to say in the past, this is not something you're going to get with the current crop of humans that are out there. Okay.
Right. And it's not something. Right. I'm sorry. I was going to say, I don't think it's something you can get with large states. Right. Like in a small, fractional, very decentralized, multi-state world. Where we might have thousands of sovereign states, then I think these small communities can live in a libertarian fashion. If you start to apply that to 350 million people, it's a whole other story, right?
Well, again, and this is the thing. So this is a process by which you're going to work through this, and then you have to realize that everybody is, you know, emotionally abused, and you know we're all working through the trauma of our own childhoods and the world and having lived through this world and building up all the defense mechanisms and building up all this is the problem that doesn't solve itself in a generation or 2 or 3 or 10 or 20. It's something that happens and evolves over the course of hundreds of years, multiple generations. When I first got into the libertarian community back in 2002, 2003, and I was chatting with, you know, some people about, you know, like some of the Native American tribes and how they were organized. They were all very, very anarchic, but they were all had, you know, ruthless respect for private property, to the point where they didn't feel the need to write down their property deeds, for example, on Vancouver Island, on anything other than a pencil on a 3x5 card. Yeah, that guy owns it. Oh, yeah, and then when we change ownership, we'll just erase him and we'll write the other guy's name on here, and we all agree that this is a contract. Like, when I heard shit like this, I'm like, yeah, we're so far from that. We're not going to get there anytime soon. But that doesn't mean that the basic idea theoretically isn't something you should strive for. So how do you go step by step, bit by bit? How can you fix this little thing or that little thing or this little thing? I've always said that every voluntary interaction between humans is a fundamentally anarchic event. Just build on them as best you can.
Yeah.
And try not to get involved in forcing yourself on other people as best you can. You're going to, and you have to live with the fact that you're going to do things in your life you're not proud of or whatever, and you're going to make a choice between two bad outcomes, and that may be, and let's when I say something like that, obviously we can apply the election to it, and yeah, from a libertarian perspective, is Donald Trump or Kamala Harris acceptable? No, neither of them are. Hell, to half of Trump supporters, he's not acceptable to them.
Try running a Bitcoin company in under U.S. regulation. Talk about the lesser of two evils on every decision you make, right?
I've spoken to Caitlin Long about this multiple times. I know how I get it, and so but that doesn't mean you can't vote strategically for yourself. That doesn't mean you can't assess public figures from from your own personal strategic level. So I look at Jerome Powell. I make funny memes about the guy, and I let him go and do his thing, knowing full well that what he's doing is protecting Wall Street.
Yeah.
He's also probably making decisions sometimes that he doesn't want to make because that's the political reality of the world he lives in.
Yeah, exactly.
And, let's put it this way. Let's use a different metaphor or a different circumstance. When, I had somebody say to me once, I yell at traffic a lot. I'm sure you'll be shocked to hear that I yell at traffic, right? And somebody said to me one day, he said, you should usually assume that everybody on the road in front of you is driving with a cake in their lap. If you do that, you might have a different perspective on why they act the way they do behind the wheel of a car. And then your driving habits may improve, and you may just take your blood pressure down a little bit and go, yeah, I'm going to get there 30 seconds or a minute later than I want to. And yes, this person's an idiot, but as opposed to getting triggered by it or getting angry about it and then the whole 9 yards and wasting energy yelling about it, why don't you assume that they're doing their best under these circumstances? Maybe if you use that metaphor for the Fed chairman at this moment in time, if Powell had not raised rates to 5.5%, right? It was funny. I was chatting with Bob Murphy the other day about this kind of thing. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I had never met Bob before. So I wasn't sure what I was going to get. And what I got was a very pragmatic response, about all this stuff going, he got it as well. And I was expecting kind of the more doctrinaire Austrian, kind of Rudy Havenstein version of reality, right? And I know Rudy. I've interviewed him a couple of times. I've chatted with him a couple of times. And I know that, he's mostly doing that because that's his public persona that he wants to put forth. But at the same time,
and we love it. We love it.
I love Rudy. He's a wonderful soul. He's an absolutely beautiful human being. I adore Rudy. But at the same time, I look at it and I say that I can't be that guy. I can't be that guy anymore. I have to be the guy that says, that's a perspective. And 75% of the time I'm with you, but this 25% of the time I can't be there. But And there's a reason for that, and there's a real good, solid reason for those things. It being a little bit more generous, and because if you do that, you might find something really wonderful every once in a while, which is maybe somebody out there actually trying to do good work in the best of the circumstances, and then whoa. Well, does that mean that this, and this? Possibly. Let's watch it. And so somehow I went from Jerome Powell and the banks to, let's see what happens here. Let's see if the banks are putting pressure on people in Congress to stop the spending bills. Oh, look, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema show up and torch Build Back Better and destroy Nancy Pelosi's speakership and all of this stuff. And you're like, okay, I guess I'm right about this.
Yeah, no, you've been dead on.
But again, I've had a lot of help, but over the years, I want you to understand that you don't do this in a vacuum, right? You don't. I've got a brilliant business partner in Dexter White who's taught me unbelievable amounts about how to read the game board, especially domestic policy. I've got a huge and amazing community of people who are so energized and so inspired to do good work that they just bring the world to me and help me kind of synthesize it.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest ByteFederal ATM and turn your cash to coin. ByteFederal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, ByteFederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.